Hey y'all, it's the Slav. Posting a video just to touch base. I know it's been a little while. Um, haven't really kept up with all the stuff that I have posted previously. The flurry of activity, much more so than I normally posted, was due to the fact that I was home for a couple months recovering from some surgery. Nothing major, everything's going well, but that definitely gave me some time to upload videos and spend a lot of time on other folks' live streams, commenting and watching. But sadly, that has come to an end. It's back to work, so that explains the much slower pace and irregularity of my videos. Just wanted to touch base with this one and share some video about my birthday wargaming haul. So I have a wonderful system with my wonderful wife where she gives me a dollar figure about how much she thinks I'm worth for birthday presents, and then I place my orders. So, to go over what I just purchased. First off, War to the Death. This is a very old game, about 40 years old now. I think 1986 was actually the copyright on this. This is by Omega Games. I believe Bill Gibbs, the owner of that, publisher of that game company, has sadly passed away several years ago. Probably most well known for their Carrier War game about the Grand Strategic World War II in the Pacific, and also did some modern operational stuff, NATO Pact and Desert Storm. But this is his game on the Napoleonic Peninsular Campaign, very heavy into the guerrilla warfare. The graphics are nothing to shout about. They're definitely more primitive 1980s type graphics. But this actually is the second edition with a enhanced map sheet, I'll say. It's an improvement over the first edition. It's definitely functional. It's utilitarian. It gets the job done. And you can see from the copy on the back here, the counters are definitely, well, utilitarian probably doesn't come close to describing them. But a lot of people will ignore all that for the treatment that this does give of the guerrilla warfare in Spain during Napoleon's wars. So definitely looking forward to opening this up. It is kind of, I could probably best describe it as similar to Joe Miranda's Nicaragua back in pretty much the same period of time, back during 3W's run of S&T. Definitely a very detailed treatment of that guerrilla irregular warfare. So if you're really into that campaign, this is probably a good choice for you. Second game is actually, I'll call it a game system, Retro by Minden. This is the new 6th edition. Purchased this off of Amazon. And I'm hoping that this is going to allow me to really dive into a ton of my ASL product. Having given up on really getting into ASL seriously through the starter kit. But this is probably going to get me in much quicker to digging those counters out and playing on my full collection of geo and historical maps. It's a much simpler game system. Believe, let me see here, really looks like only about 2 dozen, actually less than 2 dozen pages of rolls, maybe about 18, 19 pages of rolls, and got some charts and tables inside. And it's a much simpler way to just crash and bash your counters and vehicles around with all of your ASL or other World War II tactical warfare systems, let's put it. I believe you can also use this for some other systems like Panzer Grenadier, maybe, or the critical hit ATS system. Don't quote me on that, but definitely looking forward to getting into that as well. Next purchase, Clash of Arms Yana. This is an operational Napoleonic system by Clash of Arms. I really think there were only 2 titles ever published in this series, this one and its predecessor, L'Armée du Nord, about the 100 Days campaign. You could say they're kind of analogous to, well, kind of a bridge between Zucker's Library of Napoleonic Battles and his Days series. The Days series was 4 titles, 6 Days of Glory, 1806, Last Days of the Grande Armée, or Les Derniers Jours de la Grande Armée, if you want to pronounce it in French like they often are on the boxes. And the final one of that series was the 7 Days of 1809. Which is just beautiful graphic-wise. And those are an operational series. So this is kind of the same thing. I believe it's 1 kilometer hexes, 2-hour daylight game turns, and divisional size units, I believe, but don't quote me on that as well. But a specific treatment of that 1806 campaign where France took out Prussia, basically. So, again, I've been on a bit of a Napoleonic kick lately. Happy to have purchased this. I got it for a very good price on Noble Knight, and just figured, what the heck. It was, original shrink, mint condition. That is about 30 years old, I believe. I think that game was published in 1996. And finally, last game that arrived, speaking of Kevin Zucker and OSG, is the second edition of Four Lost Battles. Actually, check that. This is not the final game I have, but second to last game. Four Lost Battles, second edition. Kevin Zucker and OSG's Library of Napoleonic Battles. This was actually the game that kicked that series off. At the time, I don't know that it was meant to be a library series yet. OSG had been publishing the famous Campaigns of Napoleon series, which is the much higher level operational series on Napoleon's campaigns. They had published those 4 Days series games that I listed off a few moments ago. And then they did Four Lost Battles, which was sort of a hearkening back to the famous Napoleon's Last Battle series by SPI that Kevin had pioneered. He packaged these 4 small games together in one box. After that, it took off and became the Library of Napoleonic Battles series. So this game, originally under the old OSG stock numbering system, was game number 010. And then the coming storm about the 1806 and 1807 campaigns started a new numbering system, 201, and then all those library games have been numbered in sequence after that. So this game actually continues with that sequence and is game number 213. I've been much more careful lately about buying second editions of games that I already have. They have to be really greatly enhanced or offer a lot more replay value, as I try to be more careful about my spending and what I'm buying and my game options. In this case, I'm pretty sure that the first copy of the original edition was comped to me for helping do collating and stocking and so forth with OSG. So since I never really probably purchased that one, I didn't have a problem with purchasing this one, especially since this one also does give you those enhanced graphics that we now are familiar with in the series. So I thought that was a good purchase for me. So happy to get that one on my shelves. And now, finally, the last game, keeping up with the Napoleonic theme, is La Bataille de Combe, the latest, and as always, what's the word I'm looking for here? Slowly numbered, dated ATO annual. This is the 2023 annual that was published last summer, and it is the second La Bataille title that ATO has published. Again, sort of a simpler introduction to the system. However, it's an introduction to the premier rules of La Bataille. I have been dabbling when I was playing Orte with the Marie-Louise rules, which is an introduction to the Clash engineered rules, the 5th edition or the Regs 30. These are the premier rules that were published by what's called the Marshall household, Marshall Enterprises, the original creators of the La Bataille system. What I like about the Premier system that I think will scratch my Napoleonic itch better is it does do away with the maneuver units and chit draw formation. It's much more of an I go, you go system, which I think I'll appreciate more. Although the one thing I think I'll miss is, unless I'm missing something in the rules, I've scanned them, I've read commentary online, there appears to be no consideration of command radius in this game. Basically, leaders are just running around on the field, lending their modifiers to their units, which I think is kind of a missed opportunity. I don't know that it's very realistic to have individual battalions and regiments potentially running from one end of the battlefield to the other with no concern about staying near their comrades in arms from their organizations, and no considerations at all about being in or out of command. But I think on the whole, I will like this system a little better. Here's the map board I have set out. pretty wide open terrain. There, there won't be a lot of tricky line of sight considerations that you'll have to worry about maneuvering and firing your units. Just a few very plain hilltops scattered around, and some streams and towns. Sliding over here a little bit, I have punched and organized all the counters. One thing I do appreciate, because I am I guess you could call a heathen non-counter clipper, I refuse to clip counters unless they are absolutely horrible when you punch them. I do appreciate the fact that this organization display sets the pictorial representations of the counters far enough apart from each other that you can drop them on this organization display and they are not going to be snagging each other and sliding each other around and making a mess. So that I thought was a nice little touch. I've got all my markers for the game punched and sorted in one of those snazzy ATO boxes. This game did not come in one of those ATO boxes. They no longer use these, I don't think. This I liberated from a previous ATO game. So I'm getting this set up. One thing I did notice, I don't seem to have a whole lot of 1 and 2 strength markers here. I think there's maybe less than 20. So I hope I don't have a lot of units just getting slightly nicked up here, or I might run into some problems. Of course, I don't know what kind of blood you draw in this game in terms of strength losses. I'll find that out, I'm sure. So that's it. Kind of rambled on here. Just want to touch base, get something posted here, and let you know I am still gaming. Still into the Napoleonics. Some of the other stuff I posted previously, I've discontinued, taken off the table. Don't ask. Just, keeping up with me is a bit of an adventure. I have posted on the other corner, close action. This right here is Old Ironsides versus Guerriere, a simple 1v1 to use to try to get into this system. So I'm still keeping up with Napoleonics here, just trying to do naval at the same time as I do some land. So that's it for now. I will keep you all posted, keep gaming, and see ya.